No CP, transformation, note. It's not a change at the beginning, it's not a cool article. Horror games descend upon the world, and failed humans become the prey of ghosts and monsters. Yen Qi traveled through time to this cannibalistic game, but he seemed to have discovered something wrong. The first instance. How could I become the best employee just by completing a task in an ordinary way? And after obtaining the gourmet skill. Don't run away, ghosts, I will slowly taste you. Chapter 1. Welcome to Thriller Games. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Welcome to the game Dungeon Blood Sacrifice Hotel, be careful not to be eaten by humans. An electronic sound rang out in Yen Qi's mind. After the sound sounded, his hollow pupils also regained their vitality. I am. Just as Yen Qi was about to ask, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Memory fragments entered his brain one after another. A large amount of memory rushed through his mind, causing him a sharp pain. A few more seconds passed before the impact stopped. Yen Qi, who had accepted the memory of the original owner and regained his composure, also understood his own situation. So. Am I traveling? He never expected that he would be killed by the peeling wall while walking on the road. Which unscrupulous construction team built this kind of tofu residue project, isn't it deceiving people? But the current situation makes him have to believe that his time travel is a fact. Yen Qi tried his best to calm his emotions. Because in the original owner's memory, he discovered more important things. About 5 years ago, Thriller Games suddenly appeared in this world. At first, the authorities were still hiding it, but it wasn't until the past 2 years that the existence of Thriller Games was made public. A thriller game, just like its name, is like a game where humans being teleported need to complete the tasks assigned to each instance or meet the conditions given in order to exit the instance. Of course, in thriller games, death is truly death. There are many strange monsters in the game, and people generally refer to these monsters as ghosts. In the eyes of most ghosts, humans are a delicious ingredient, whether it is blood, meat or internal organs, they are all very delicious. A human who completes a dungeon can qualify as a player in order to become a true player. After becoming a player, players must be forced to enter dungeons every other week, otherwise they will be forcibly erased by the game system. There are currently 3 methods known to the public to enter thriller games. 1. After becoming a player, you have the ability to actively enter game dungeons. 2. Being selected by the game system in a certain place and directly entering the game is also the method for most ordinary people to enter dungeons, but of course, these people are definitely not voluntary. 3. The advantage of using the nationally developed portal to enter game dungeons is that the difficulty of the dungeon can be chosen. The difficulty of dungeons is divided into 6 levels from low to high. E, D, C, B, A, and S. The dungeons above the S. level are collectively referred to as death dungeons. After organizing these memories about thriller games, Yen Qi began to pay attention to the memories about the original owner. Coincidentally, the original owner's name is also called Yen Qi. But unlike Yen Qi, the original owner was an orphan who grew up in an orphanage. Thanks to the efforts of the original owner, I finally got into an ordinary university. After graduation, I also got a job and rented a small house to live just like other ordinary people. The original owner did not believe that he would be selected by the thriller game, nor did he want to be selected. He just wants to live a plain and indifferent life. Because statistics have shown that out of approximately 10 ordinary people who enter thriller games, only about 1 to 2 people can survive. Until today, the original owner was suddenly selected as he lay well in bed. And for some unknown reason, the original owner lost consciousness directly. After organizing his memories, Yen Qi also began to observe the current environment. At this moment, Yen Qi is still a bit panicked. How could he not be panicked about something that concerns his own life? Now he is in a room similar to a security booth, facing the front door. And the windows on both sides were sealed with wooden boards, making it impossible to see the outside. The layout of the room is very simple, with one bed and one table. There are no more things left. He opened the taskbar of the thriller game. Generally speaking, after entering a thriller game, the main tasks will be released. Main task: survive for 7 days. It seems that because the original owner is entering the dungeon for the first time, the natural level of the dungeon entering is not too high and not too difficult. In fact, as long as E-level dungeons are well managed, ordinary people can still survive. Of course, it also depends on the situation of the replica to decide. Looking at the task that required a 7-day survival, Yan-Chi felt a little relieved. The thriller game will also release some side quests based on the current situation of the dungeon. These side quests can increase the player's rating after exiting the game. After the player exits, the game system will give them some rewards based on their rating. The rating is divided into 6 levels, EGBAs, just like the level of the dungeon. Generally, if only the main task is completed, the rating will only be E or D, except for some special instances. But at present, Yan-Chi still needs to understand his own situation and identity in the game. He slowly stood up from the simple single bed and came to the table next to him. After slowly opening the drawer, a mask appeared first. The shape of the mask is a white rabbit. The rabbit mask has black holes in its eyes that are not transparent. In addition, the exaggerated smile on the mask appears somewhat eerie. He slowly picked up the mask. Just as he was picking it up, an information bar immediately appeared next to the mask. Strange rabbit mask, level E bonus. Spirit +1 ability. None details. Wearing it may make you think you are of the same kind. In thriller games, the level of props is divided into 7 levels. E, D, C, B, A, S, and S+. Of course, there are also higher level props, but currently she cannot access them. After reading the introduction of the rabbit mask, Yan-Chi placed it on the table and looked at the panel in detail. At this moment, a character panel also appeared before Yan-Chi's eyes. Name: Yan-Chi. Race: human. Ghost Chi. None strength. 10 speed. 10 spirit. 13 intelligence. 13, note. The average number of items for ordinary adult men is 10, ability. None strength encompasses both the size of strength and one's own physical condition. Speed affects the speed of action and responsiveness. The spirit affects the recovery of ghost power and the clarity of the mind. Intelligence affects the speed of brain operation and calculation. And Gili Yan-Chi knew through the original owner's memory that it was similar to the blue bars in some games. The higher the maximum value of ghost power, the stronger this creature becomes. The mental and intellectual column in the panel is prominent. If I'm right, then it's related to me coming into this body. After putting away the personal panel, Yan-Chi continued to explore in the drawer. Then he touched out 3 more things. A manual, a telescopic electric stick, and a pocket watch that looks very old. Telescopic electric stick, level E bonus. Strength +2 details. The current inside seems to be very sufficient to paralyze some organisms. And the other 2 items were not introduced, it seems they are just ordinary props. After putting the stick into his pocket, Yan-Chi picked up the booklet. I saw the hotel receptionist manual prominently written on paper. Open the manual, each page has a rule written on it. 1. The staff levels of this hotel are divided from top to bottom into 3 levels. Tiger, wolf, and rabbit. 2. Each receptionist receives at least 3 batches of guests per day. 3. There are no foxes in this hotel. 4. This hotel does not have an 11th floor. 5. If you are entangled by a fox, please go to the 11th floor to take shelter. 6. The receptionists in this hotel work from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., with 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. as rest time. They can rest during meals. 7. Please return to your room before 9 o'clock, otherwise you will bear the consequences. Is it a copy of the rule class? After reading the manual, Yan Qi guessed. This type of rule-based replica is neither difficult nor simple. The simplicity lies in the fact that as long as you follow the rules, there will generally be no problems, and the difficulty lies in the conflicts between the rules. Just like Article 3, 4, and 5. There are contradictions between them. After thinking about it, he picked up the pocket watch. I saw that the time had already arrived at 8:55. After searching the room again, Yanqi confirmed that there was nothing. When putting all the remaining things into the pocket, he found a small line of blood-red text on the back of the manual. Please don't take off your mask outside. This blood-red small character seems to be a hint, and it generally does not violate the rules in the manual. Thinking of Yan Qi, he picked up the rabbit mask. Slowly pressed the mask close to his face, but just as the mask comes into contact with his face, the mask suddenly came to life and directly applied itself to Yan Qi's face, then wrapped his entire head around it. The two rabbit ears also stood up, and their eyes changed from pitch black holes to blood red, making them even more eerie. Chapter 2. Gourmet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. Miss Vampire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Yan Qi finished reading the introduction of the White Mist skill, the sound of the nearby table attracted Yan Qi. Sitting at the table next to him was a lizard man with a lizard head and a humanoid body covered in green scales. At this moment, the lizard man was pointing at the oil stains on his linen collar and cursing at someone. Human. Don't you have eyes? That's right, standing opposite the lizard man is a human. She is a girl in her 20s, dressed in work clothes, and appears to be responsible for serving dishes and greeting guests. The girl's body trembled incessantly when she heard the lizard man's angry rebuke. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry. What's the use of being sorry? The lizard man said fiercely. Sir, I will help you tidy up. No way. Find your manager. Upon hearing the lizard man's words, the girl became even more anxious. She knows the consequences of being complained about. She couldn't help but tremble when she thought about the manager's terrifying appearance. Sir, please. Please don't go to the manager. Upon hearing the girl's words, the lizard man squinted his eyes and said. It's okay not to go. Give me one of your arms and I won't go, okay? I think it's a good deal. The girl's face turned pale at once. Lowering his head, he seemed to be thinking about something. Human meat is a rare delicacy for ghosts in thriller games, naturally due to supply shortages and exorbitant prices. Although Yan Qi saw that it was the lizard man who stretched out his foot when the girl was about to pass by. But he didn't intend to intervene. After all, that woman had nothing to do with him. Why bother to intervene? She couldn't give him any benefits. Why do you have nothing to do when you're free to go up in theory on your own? Yan Qi is simply curious as to why this person can directly reveal that they are human. But the ghosts dare not directly attack her and instead use this method to eat her. Perhaps this is also due to some kind of rule limitation. At this moment, more than a dozen colleagues beside Yan Qi also stood up and planned to leave the cafeteria. Yan Qi followed closely behind. A dozen or so receptionists walked for a while before arriving at the hotel gate. The door slowly opened on its own. Groups of ghosts outside walked into the door one after another. The receptionists lead guests into their respective rooms in order of door numbers. Just as Yan Qi was about to approach and greet the guests, the option box suddenly appeared. Option 1. Host a guest. Reward. Eye of Insight. Option 2. Refuse to entertain guests. Reward. Grandma's red high heels. Seeing these two options, Yan Qi did not hesitate and chose the first option. Then he approached the nearest ghost and said, "What does the beautiful lady need?" The race of this ghost became known to Yan Qi when he saw her accidentally yawn and open her mouth. The skin is pale, with two long tiger teeth and a face almost identical to that of a normal human. It's either a vampire or something strange. Wearing a black and red Lolita long dress, walking ahead with a lace-patterned black and red umbrella. Although it is also a ghost, compared to other inexplicable-looking ghosts. The vampire lady in front of him was much more pleasing to his eye. "Here, this is my room number." Miss Vampire glanced at Yan Qi in front of her and casually took out a wooden plaque, saying. Just when Yan Qi came into contact with the wooden plaque, the mask begins to resonate with the mask. The location of the room recorded in the wooden plaque immediately appeared in Yan Qi's mind. "Miss, please come with me here. You can give me the umbrella." He took the umbrella handed by Miss Vampire and led her towards the hotel gate. I opened the door and made a gesture of invitation. Yan Qi's attitude actually satisfied this vampire lady very much. Upon entering the hotel, Yan Qi led her towards an elevator in the lobby on the first floor. After one person and one ghost got on the elevator together, Yan Qi pressed the fifth floor based on the memory uploaded from the wooden sign. Yan only then noticed that the elevator had a total of 11 buttons, but he jumped directly from the 10th floor to the 12th floor. And the 12th floor is the highest floor. As stated in the rules, the hotel does not have an 11th floor. The elevator slowly rises. The elevator arrived at the corresponding floor with a ding sound, and the doors opened on both sides. Yan Qi pulled the suitcase and opened the door of room 509. "Beautiful lady, this is your room. Please rest well." Miss Vampire walked into the room and said with her back to Yan Qi. "Are you a human?" Miss Vampire's words caused Yan Qi's movements to pause slightly. "Miss, what are you talking about? There's no such thing as humans. That mask may make those brainless trash unable to recognize you, but for us vampires, the blood and aura on your body cannot be concealed." Because Miss Vampire had her back to Yan Qi, he couldn't see the vampire's expression clearly in front of him. But based on the memories of his previous life, Yan Qi even thought of his own way of death. Fortunately, this vampire doesn't look ugly, hee. Just as Yan Qi was thinking about waiting to die, Miss Vampire walked directly to the sofa in the living room and sat down. Seeing this, Qi froze in place. Miss Vampire said in a tone of disdain as she saw him standing at the door all along. "What are you standing there for? Don't leave quickly." Upon hearing Miss Vampire's words, Yan Qi didn't hesitate and immediately walked out, bringing the door with him. But just as Yan Qi was about to walk to the elevator door, Miss Vampire's voice came over again. This is obviously a vampire lady who used some ability to make Yan Qi outside hear her voice clearly. "Come back again." Even if Yan Qi didn't want to hear this indifferent voice anymore, he could only go back. Opening the door, Yan Qi said with a smile, although the fake smile was obvious. "Miss, may I ask if you have any further instructions? You first dispose of the things in the toilet." I was dumbfounded to hear Miss Vampire's words. "What can I find in the bathroom?" After thinking for a while, Yan Qi still opened the glass door of the toilet. As soon as I opened the door, a strong smell of blood rushed over like a torrent. Make Yan Qi instinctively want to vomit. He saw clearly what it was through the illumination of the toilet lights. A blood-red sarcoma. That sarcoma is even constantly wriggling. Perhaps sensing the movement around, the peristalsis of the sarcoma became faster. A crimson arm composed of sarcomas grabbed Yan Qi. Yan Qi saw this subconscious avoidance and surprisingly avoided it. But the arm didn't stop and flew directly towards the vampire lady sitting on the sofa drinking black tea. Miss Vampire slowly lifted her left hand. The next second, the arm and sarcoma were cut in half by an invisible force, with a very flat cut surface. And beside the sarcoma, Yan Qi felt the powerful force flying past him, and couldn't help but sweat. Dirty garbage. After Miss Vampire finished speaking, she took out a handkerchief and wiped it on her left hand. Please clean this up quickly. Okay. Yan Qi nodded like a quail and said. After taking a broom from the corridor, Yan Qi quickly swept out the body with the sarcoma. During the scanning process, Yan Qi also understood why the vampire didn't kill him. Because it's meaningless. In fact, in the eerie world, ghosts like vampires prefer the blood of powerful creatures. In the eyes of this vampire lady, Yan Qi's blood is not as good as the sarcoma just now. After Yan Qi used a mop to clean the blood stains from the toilet and hallway. The sound of the system came out loud. Complete the task and earn the reward Eye of Insight. Eye of Insight level. B details. You can view the panel and some skills of a creature, as well as the functions of items. Note. If there is a significant difference in strength between the host and the insight organism, some information cannot be displayed. Note. Perhaps you can do something else. After he finished cleaning, Miss Vampire, who had finished a cup of black tea, waved to Yan Qi. As she approached, Miss Vampire took out 2 golden coins directly from her bag, with the words 100 imprinted on them. Yan Qi took the coin and thanked Miss Vampire before hastily leaving the room. After just obtaining the Eye of Insight, he decisively opened it. His pupils instantly lost their radiance as if they had turned into a void. But due to the influence of the rabbit mask, Yan Qi was unaware. An information bar also appears. Name. Unknown race. Higher blood race. Ghost Qi. Unknown, the gap between you and your strength is too large to explore. Comment. If she has a killing intent on you, you can taste what Mengpa soup tastes like. So when Yan Qi came out, he didn't even think about it and took the elevator downstairs. Chapter 4. Work Accidents. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yan Qi, holding 200 thriller coins, didn't know how grand the tip was. Put 2 coins into the Gourmet's storage room. Then he took out a red crystal from his pocket. The core of a blood tumor level. E details. It seems to be the source of energy for this weak creature. Looking at the blood-red prismatic crystals on my hand. Upon careful examination, a familiar piece of music appeared subconsciously in his mind. Often, the most high-end ingredients only require the simplest cooking. Although eating raw made him feel a bit nauseous, after all, he saw what the essence of this crystal looked like. But seeing that in this dungeon, if all the ghosts and monsters are like this, the next time we encounter someone who can recognize themselves as a human and has some thoughts about themselves, it will be over in no time. So with a horizontal heart, he put 1 corner of the crystal into his mouth and took a bite. The crystal ruptured and blood-red liquid splashed out from inside. Perhaps influenced by foodies, the taste of these liquids in Yan Qi's mouth is as refreshing and sweet as watermelon juice. Successfully consumed E-level flesh and blood creature cores, gained strength of 2, and gained 100 points of ghost energy. Just after this prompt, Yan Qi's character panel reappeared. Name. Yan Qi race. Human level. E-ghost Qi. 140 strength. 12.5 speed. 10.5 spirit. 13 intelligence. 13 ability. White Mist, and Gourmet human. Congratulations on entering the ranks of E-level. The sound of the game system appears. After drinking the crystal, Yan Qi can clearly feel the change in his own strength. If we say that Yan Qi's physical fitness can only compete with ordinary people. So now his physical fitness has surpassed some professional athletes. After reading the prompt that reached level E, it also reminded Yan Qi to collect more information about thriller games after going out. Because there is no information about the player's level in the original owner's memory. But now what he wants to test the most is his own abilities. With the launch of Yan Qi, clouds of mist were beginning to appear on his right hand. Mist continues to spread in the elevator. As the elevator reached the first floor, Yan Qi quickly put away the mist. In the just experiment, although I was in the elevator, I could feel fog spreading about 3 meters in diameter. This distance is much better than half of Yan Qi's body during the previous experiment. He walked out of the main entrance of the hotel to prepare to entertain the next guest, as he had to entertain 2 more guests to complete his daily tasks. Time flies by quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already noon. After receiving a tip from a pig-headed person, the sound of completing the task came, and a bottle of low-level recovery potion also appeared in his hand. This is the 7th batch of guests that Yanqi received today. In addition to Miss Vampire, the rewards for the other 6 batches of guests add up to only 5 bottles of low-level recovery potions and 100 points of ghost gas. Just as he was putting away the medicine, he suddenly felt the message coming from the mask. He is being prompted to dine in the cafeteria. I happen to be a bit hungry too. After quickly descending the stairs, he followed his colleagues in line as he went out. To be honest, the situation of my colleagues is very strange. Although they may seem numb to things, sometimes they have their own thinking. And I clearly showed a difference from other colleagues, but nothing happened. Yan Qi thought for a while but couldn't figure out the reason, so he could only decide to continue exploring the hotel to see if there were any other abnormalities. In the morning, there was only a problem in Miss Vampire's room. The queue walked straight towards the cafeteria, just like in the morning. Still in the same order, everyone began to choose their own food. He looked at the various delicacies under the glass window and began to choose. The food he chose this time was the thigh meat of the pig-headed man, along with the pork ribs of the horse-headed man and the glass drink of the eyeball monster. I quickly resolved this meal, and as expected, I did not gain any skills but only gained 30 points of ghost energy and a small amount of attribute points. After finishing the meal, according to the manual, there is a 2-hour break. After sitting in the cafeteria for a while, Yan Qi walked towards the hotel. After wandering around on the first floor of the hotel for a few laps, there was nothing unusual about it. Then head upstairs. There is no clear requirement in the employee handbook that employees can only stay in fixed areas, so Yan Qi is not afraid of violating the rules. With this thought in mind, Yan Qi began to move up 1 layer at a time. When we move to the 4th layer, the rest time is almost over. Without any hesitation, he left the hotel in the elevator and returned to the door. He doesn't want to violate the rules here. Recalling what happened in Miss Vampire's room, let Yanqi know that part of the truth about the hotel must be hidden in the room. But he cannot open the door freely on his own, as the door requires a wooden sign held by the guest to open. If I open the door without authorization, I don't know what will happen, so entering the room through all the guests is undoubtedly the safest way. Even if there is danger, you can leave the guests behind to save your own lives. The first group of guests in the afternoon were 2 green, short and ghostly creatures with ugly faces, thin and pointed noses, elf-like green ears, and tattered clothes. He looked like Goblin in his previous life watching anime. The 2 goblins are only about waist high. These 2 goblins are holding each other's arms like a couple in the human world. Baby, we're lucky today. Come here today to have some fun. Disgusting. The long-haired goblin spoke and lightly pushed the other goblin. Obviously, the one with long hair is a female, while the other goblin is a male. This surprised Yan Qi quite a bit, as in his previous life, the creature goblin in the anime did not have a female. But all of them are males, and it's not convenient to say how they reproduce. It seems that there are still differences between this world and anime and novels. Option 1. Refuse to entertain 2 people, Goblin's anger value increases by 50% to receive a reward. Grandma's cane Option 2. Hospitalize 2 ghosts and receive a reward. Unknown potion. After choosing 2, he took the wooden card from the male goblin's hand. At this moment, he also smelled the foul odor emanating from Goblin's body, which was comparable to rotten eggs. Stinky eggs say you're insulting me. Despite feeling nauseous, he still activated the inside eye to see the attributes of the 2 goblins. Name. Goblin race. Smart Goblin Ghost Chi. 100 level. E power. 8 speed. 8 spirit. 7 wisdom. 8 details. You can solve it. The attributes of the other goblin are not significantly different from these attributes. After bringing 2 ghosts to the room, Yan Qi heard something coming from the toilet. Yan Qi couldn't help but wonder if the ghosts in this hotel had any special quirks. Do you like the restroom so much because it has a strong ghost odor there? Sir, do you need me to check it, madam? No need, we can solve it ourselves. Goblin waved his hand to signal Yan Qi to go out. Okay, sir, I'll leave first. Yan Qi finished speaking and left the room, leaving only a gap when the door closed. The sound in the toilet is very strange. It's impossible to just leave like this. Anyway, my work tasks have been completed and I have plenty of time to wait. So Yan Qi stood outside the door listening to the movements inside the room. After leaving the room, the task displayed a completed flag. Without carefully examining the details of the medicinal soup, it was directly placed in the storage room. Because he also needs to carefully observe the situation inside. Although the eye of insight shows that the 2 goblins in front of us are intelligent. But he didn't see it at all. These 2 goblins actually ignored the sound in the toilet. Start playing poker on the bed. Just as the male goblin was about to shoot rocket, Yanqi saw the door of the toilet slowly open through the slit. And a black and red tentacle extended out from the door. The tentacle poked out from the crack in the toilet door. It seems to feel the vibration on the bed and touch towards the edge of the bed. What is that thing? Yanqi looked at the tentacles and activated the eye of insight. Name. Unknown race. Blood Tentacles Ghost Chi. 160 level. E-comment. Alternatively, you can find its owner through it. After reading the information on the tentacle, Yan Qi found that the tentacle had already touched the bed. The speed of the tentacles suddenly increased, piercing through the bodies of 2 goblins. Goblin seems to have not died yet, constantly struggling and biting. Attempt to retract this tentacle. But apart from leaving a row of tooth marks on the tentacles, there was no other impact. After the 2 goblins died completely and no longer struggled, the front end of the tentacle began to swell. The red blood that had splattered on the bedsheet before also began to return to Goblin's body. To be precise, it was sucked by that eerie tentacle. Blood converges at the front end of the tentacles and continues to spread towards the toilet. Good opportunity, now that tentacle is absorbing blood and cannot easily escape. With this thought in mind, Yan Qi decided to take action. Chapter 5. Strange Fragments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After taking out the electric shock rod from his pocket, Yan Qi rushed straight into the toilet at the source of the tentacle. As he quickly entered the restroom, Yan Qi saw what the ghost in front of him looked like. I saw a twisted elliptical sphere sticking to the bathtub. There are many octopus-like suction cups on the ball, densely packed and looking very disgusting. The body and tentacles of the ball are of the same color, and the ball seems to know that Yan Qi is close in front of him. The tentacles began to vibrate slowly, as if wanting to interrupt the suction. Seeing this, Yan Qi didn't hesitate to rush towards the bathtub. As the button on the electric shock rod was pressed, a faint arc jumped on it. Yan Qi hit the ball with a single stroke, and the tremendous force made the ball sink. The current also travels with the electric rod. The ball trembled with electricity. Pop pop as they fall one by one. A layer of dark red blood flowed through the bottom of the bathtub. The wall was also splattered with blood. Seeing the ball no longer shaking, I continued to knock a few more strokes and confirmed that it was dead. Yen Qi looked at the mirror by the sink and found that his upper suit had been stained with blood, and half of the white rabbit mask had also been dyed black, making it even more eerie. There was no unnecessary feeling to kill Yen Qi with this ghost, perhaps it was due to the mask that improved his psychological endurance. He never even killed a chicken with his own hands in his previous life. After scraping through the body of this round ball for a while, a blood-red fragment was taken out by Yen Qi from the body. This fragment is about the size of a palm and has strange runes on its surface. At this moment, the sound of the game system suddenly rang out. You seem to have discovered the secret of the hotel. Gather all the fragments and perhaps its owner will pay tribute to you. Current progress is January 4th reward. Settlement score increase. Collect all fragments to receive special rewards. Just after the game system sound ends, two options appear in front of Yen Qi. Option 1. Complete the collection of fragments. Reward. Gourmet's knife group. Option 2. Abandon collecting fragments. Reward. Black silk worn by unknown owner. Seeing this option, Yen Qi roast after choosing the first option. I don't even know what the master's black silk is for, what the master looks like cough and cough. He just wanted to say that this system is too unorthodox. Yen Qi held the fragment in his hand and activated the Eye of Insight. The eerie fragment seems to have some special connection with other fragments. In Yen Qi's eyes, he saw 3 blood-red auras emanating from the fragments, pointing in 3 directions. Just these 3 red lines are slowly moving. This fragment can actually connect with other fragments, which can greatly reduce the time I need to search for fragments. Seeing this, Qi was also somewhat pleased, but he knew that these 3 breath were moving, indicating that the remaining 3 fragments were all unmovable creatures. After exploring the ball again and confirming that there was nothing else, the Gourmet's storage room activated and collected the body into the space. Although this ghost looks somewhat abstract, at least eating it can also earn some attribute points. After collecting the body, Yen Qi saw the wash basin and mirror beside him. After slightly cleaning the blood-stained white gloves on the sink, Yen Qi suddenly remembered something. After slowly removing the rabbit mask, I saw the appearance of this body. The young man is about 1.8 meters tall, with a tough face, and although his hair is a bit messy, he actually has a messy and handsome look. In short, it's just one word. Handsome. Seeing his current appearance, Yen Qi was still satisfied. After putting on the rabbit mask again, he walked out of the room and closed the door. In the elevator, Yen Qi remembered the medicinal soup and activated Insight Eye after taking it out of the space. Strange medicinal soup details. An unknown and strange medicinal soup that can fundamentally change the body of a creature, but what becomes random. Note. Would you like a bowl of soup, young man? Seeing this medicinal soup, Yen Qi didn't hesitate and threw it directly into the storage room to accumulate dust. Isn't this completely random thing just a trap? If it turns into a caterpillar, barbecue won't do it directly. In that case, there might be a story about me reincarnating into a caterpillar and dominating the world. After going down to the first floor, Yen Qi took out his pocket watch and found that the hour hand had already pointed to 6. Is it already after 6 o'clock? Originally, Yen Qi wanted to entertain a few more guests. But a message came from the rabbit mask. Guests, come and gather at the gate. This is like an invisible command that cannot be refused by creatures wearing rabbit masks. Yen Qi walked towards the hotel gate like this. Perhaps the reason for leaving the hotel gate was due to the eerie red moon. Although it is already 6 o'clock, there is no sign of darkness at all. In no time, Yen Qi arrived at the main entrance and saw his colleagues coming one after another. They lined up in 2 rows, and Yan Qi followed suit and stood in the queue. Yan Qi only then saw the ghost that summoned them. That is a humanoid ghost wearing a grey wolf mask. But the prominent black wings behind it symbolized that he is not human. The wings were similar to those of a crow, and were now pressing against the back of the ghost. I don't know why Yan Qi stared at the wings of that ghost, and there was a feeling that they must be delicious to roast. Wolf employees of Blood Festival Hotel, race. Stitching creatures. Level. See Ghost Qi. 1050, for the sake of your good looks, if you are not an important character in the future, you will not display detailed attribute points. Readers can roughly evaluate the strength by looking at the ghost gas value. Note. Perhaps you can help it scrape and scrape. Seeing this panel, Yan Qi suppressed his thoughts. Seeing that the receptionists were all here, the grey wolf ghost spoke to the group of receptionists in front of him. Your service today is barely strong. But a few of them seem to have poor individual benefits. After the grey wolf ghost finished speaking, its wings spread out, and the 2 colleagues next to Yan Qi were directly pierced by black feathers. Then it turned its gaze to Yan Qi. I'll go, what are you looking at me for? The grey wolf ghost instantly came to Yan Qi and patted his shoulder, saying, You need to learn from it. It's equivalent to the work efficiency of the 3 of you. Yan Qi breathed a sigh of relief and then felt a moment of silence. What does it mean to suddenly teleport in front of others if you want to praise? After praising Yan Qi for a while, the grey wolf ghost took out 50 horror coins from one mouth and handed them to Yan Qi. Without hesitation, Yan Qi decided not to take the money he had worked hard to earn. Subsequently, the grey wolf ghost began distributing horror coins to other receptionists. But most of them only have 10 to 20. After posting, the grey wolf ghost said to a group of receptionists. Today is your first day of work. Remember to gather here at 7:30 tomorrow. Now go back and rest on your own. Just as the receptionists were about to return to their rooms, the grey wolf ghost pointed at 2 receptionists and said, Please handle these 2 corpses and don't disturb the guests' elegance. After speaking, his wings spread and he left here. On the way back to the room, I wonder if it was the effect of a foodie, but he was wondering if the wings of that grey wolf ghost would be delicious when grilled together. Yan Qi, who returned to the room, became more and more greedy as he thought about it. He looked at the bodies in the storage room but couldn't take them down. Yan Qi has decided to come back tomorrow with a lighter. On this day, Yan Qi also did a lot of things, which made him a bit tired. He lay in bed for a while and then fell asleep. Time passed by minute by second, and Yan Qi, who was half asleep and half awake, suddenly heard a knock on the door in the distance. I also heard strange whispers. Are you at home? At home. With the sound of knocking on the door echoing incessantly. The unknown ghost kept circulating around the receptionist's room, as if it was about to ask them all. The unknown ghost had arrived in the nearby room, and Yan Qi could clearly hear the sound of the ghost crawling on the ground. This made him instantly energized. Dong dong dong. Dong 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 dong, the sound of knocking on the door came from the next room. Are you at home? As this sentence was asked, Yan Qi was surprised that the neighbor next to him had opened the door. Originally, I was at home. After a moment of silence, the sound of chewing food and breaking bones came from the next door. The sound abruptly stopped with a swallowing sound. Suddenly, the door of Qi's room was knocked upon with a familiar questioning sound. For some reason, when the ghost started asking so closely, Yan Qi wanted to instinctively answer. Yan Qi tried his best to cover his mouth and didn't dare to make any sound, afraid of turning into that ghost's night snack. Aren't you there? Aren't you there? With the hoarse words and crawling sounds, the ghost seemed to have left the door. At this moment, the strange force that forced him to answer also disappeared, and Yen Qi breathed a sigh of relief before taking out his pocket watch. I saw that the time above was clearly 9:05. Is that the executor of the night rules? Yen Qi pondered and lay back in bed. Chapter 6. Strange Changes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After this commotion, Yen Qi fell asleep again and was awakened in the morning by the creaking sound of the door outside. Get up and take out the pocket watch. It's already 8 o'clock, quickly tidy it up, put on clothes, put on a mask, and then walk out. At this moment, the receptionists lined up like yesterday and headed towards the cafeteria. On the way to the cafeteria, Yen Qi noticed subtle changes. The emerald green plants on the roadside turned a bit yellow at this moment. Not only that, after entering the cafeteria, Yen Qi clearly noticed cracks in the corner of the wall. Has time changed? Just as he kept speculating, the team had already arrived at him. After finishing breakfast, Yen Qi decided to complete today's work requirements first. During work, he also discovered why his colleagues had such low work efficiency. Because they only stand in one place, guests will only come forward after entering a certain range. But Yen Qi didn't bother so much, and after completing the 3 batches of customers that must be completed every day, he also reached the break time. He took out the blood-red fragment. At present, this is the only task besides the main line. The Eye of Insight activated, and Yen Qi looked at the direction of the 3 breaths. Choose a direction and walk towards it. The Blood Sacrifice Hotel is divided into 5 buildings, A, B, C, D, E. It is connected by a corridor, and according to the direction of this breath, it is probably located in Building E. On the way to Building E, Yen Qi also noticed something different. Although the scenery outside has changed, there hasn't been much change in the hotel. But there were many more hotel staff on the aisle. Most are rabbits, and a small portion are gray wolves. These employees are very different from the receptionists below, they are like puppets being manipulated. Stubbornly completing the task at hand, coupled with the eerie mask wearing a smile, it became even more terrifying. After opening the entrance of the passage, Yen Qi arrived at the 3rd floor of Building E. At this moment, the breath still points upwards. In the elevator, Yen Qi pressed down on each floor and observed the changes in the direction of the breath. The breath began to move rapidly, and soon it was parallel to the words. It is clear from the bottom of my heart that it is on this floor. For safety reasons, Yen Qi directly used white mist. A strong mist surged out of the elevator, making it difficult to see the scene clearly. The mist moved with Yen Qi's movements. The electric rod has also been withdrawn at this time. A faint arc flickered on. The breath pointed straight towards a room with an open door. Outside the door, Yen Qi smelled a strong smell of blood. A faint chewing sound came from the room. The mist slowly approached, and Yen Qi leaned forward to look into the room. I saw a bloated blood-red creature sitting on the ground, gnawing on something. The monster was facing Yen Qi with its back facing away, with many swollen blood-red flesh pieces on its back, which were constantly wriggling. The arms appear very uncoordinated, one big and one small. The big arms are like giant hammers, while the small arms are covered in sharp claws. The surroundings of the ghost were already covered in bright red blood, along with some torn suits and shattered rabbit masks. Strange flesh and blood monsters race. Stitch creatures level. E-Ghost Chi. 400 strength. 17 speed. 9 spirit. 6 intelligence. 6 ability. Wound regeneration. The speed of wound recovery is slightly accelerated. Blood attachment. Can cover the body with blood to form a layer of armor. Note. A silly ghost with only lower intelligence, you have comparable strength to it. After Yen Qi finished reading the ghost information, 2 options popped up prominently. Option 1. You cannot directly go up and kill flesh and blood monsters. Reward. Fireball skill, fireball level. Details. Consume ghost energy to condense fireballs and launch attacks. Option 2. Shout, I'll run away, stop fighting, run away. Reward. Brave title. Courage is commendable, details. You have demonstrated your courage, wearing a title can make you feel confident. After looking at the options, without hesitation, I chose the first option. What's the use of the second option? After comparing his attribute points with his ghost energy, Yan Qi knew he couldn't confront the ghost directly. Adding the attribute points given by the system yesterday and the attribute points obtained by the foodie, Yan Qi's speed has reached 13 points. If we had to deal with this big guy, it might have consumed him to death. At this moment, the ghost emitted a deep voice. That voice was similar to a somewhat empty man's voice after doing something. Not yet. Not enough. Then he turned his head and looked outside the door. The twisted face left Yan Qi somewhat stunned. Not big brother, what are you not enough for? What are you looking at me for? Perhaps knowing that there was something outside, the bulky body stood up and rushed out like a shell, reaching a height of 2 meters. Seeing this, they quickly ran towards the corner on the side. The ghost looked out at the vast white mist and also stopped in place. Its eyes have been obscured by white mist. Perhaps I heard the footsteps of Yan Qi. That ghost is looking in his direction. Just as it reached the corner, a stick hit its head. The monster reacted slowly and began to punch wildly after being hit. The huge fist punched out cracks in the surrounding walls. After a wild fight, the ghost stopped moving and let out a roar by touching its slightly dizzy hair. Then follow the sound and walk like the next corner. This time it was obviously a bit cautious as it walked against the wall on the right, with the corner on the left. Just as it approached the corner, something suddenly flew over from the corner, and this time it reacted quickly with a huge punch. The stone shattered into powder. Just as it shattered the stone, it felt a sharp pain in its lower body, accompanied by a sense of numbness. Yan Qi reacted quickly and immediately hit his second brother after attracting his attention with a stone. For some reason, Yan Qi, who ran away after finishing the fight, felt a kind of sadness. The ghost was hit by this blow and flipped over directly to the ground, constantly wriggling, looking both comical and amusing. As the saying goes, in a fight, the winning rate is generally high by attacking first with 3 moves. Pain. Pain. The ghost was completely enraged and began to ooze blood all over its body. A layer of blood-red film also appeared on the ghost's body. It became even more violent. Almost without thinking about it, he rushed towards Yan Qi. The next time the electric baton hits the ghost, it surprisingly has no effect. On the contrary, the ghost's long and sharp-clawed arm had already grabbed Yan Qi's chest. The suit was torn apart like paper. 3 terrifying claw marks left on the chest. This is his first time getting injured in a thriller game. With his wound on, Yan Qi thought of running to the front lounge. I took out a bottle of low-level recovery medicine from the storage room, opened it and poured it into my mouth. The red liquid entrance seems to have a hemostatic effect. The wound was no longer bleeding, and Yan Qi also felt that the pain no longer seemed to be coming from the wound. With the advantage of speed, Yan Qi quickly arrived at the lounge and began to think. This is a beginner dungeon, and it is impossible for ordinary people to kill a monster like this. It seems that there is something I haven't noticed. With this thought in mind, Yan Qi began to observe the surroundings. There was a large round table, several sofas, and more than a dozen medieval armor decorations in the lounge. The rest are some fruits, wine, and other things. The ghost had already touched the entrance of the lounge. At this moment, Yan Qi behind the sofa saw something that seemed to be on the round table. Chapter 7. Second Fragment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The ghost lay on the ground and sniffed, seemingly following the smell of blood, and found Yan Qi. Seeing this, Yan Qi didn't hesitate and ran towards the round table after leaving the sofa just now. The ghost heard the sound and rushed over, punching Yan Qi's sofa, which had just been hiding, and causing it to collapse. Originally, Yan Qi was almost at the round table, but the ghost lifted the collapsed sofa and threw it towards Yan Qi. Tisk, did the bloody smell let it know my approximate location? Helpless, Yan Qi had no choice but to lie down and dodge. The sofa smashed directly onto the wall of the lounge, leaving behind large pieces of debris. The ghost quickly attacked, and Yan Qi quickly got up and ran towards the round table. The speed of the ghost still cannot compare to him, as the button is pressed. The alarm lights around the lounge began to flash, accompanied by a rapid electronic sound. Harmful hotel creatures entering, defense system activated. Harmful. Then I saw the medieval armor decorations on the side moving. The armors turned their heads to look at Yan Qi and the ghost, and after seeing Yan Qi's rabbit mask, they turned their gaze to the ghost. A growl, the armor pulled out the sword from the waist. Then they all rushed towards the ghosts. They seem unaffected in the fog. The ghost couldn't see anything approaching it, but it heard the dense sound of metal friction around it. Suddenly, the axe of a long-handled axe struck at its head. The ghost fist blasted out a long-handled axe and was shaken away. When the long-handled axe was thrown away, a sword also stabbed the ghost. The blood-red film has not been defeated by the sharpness of the sword. The ghost turned around with a claw. The claws clawed on the armor and made a piercing metallic collision sound, but only left a scratch. Just like this, ghosts are constantly being consumed. The wounds are getting more and more numerous, and the strength of the ghost is also decreasing. Finally, the ghost fell to the ground after scattering 2 armor pieces. That armor has actually been patched up a few times. After confirming that the ghost was indeed dead, he stopped moving. Meanwhile, Yan Qi also received a reward from the system. Complete the task and obtain the fireball skill. The alarm lights in the lounge no longer flash. Seeing this, Yan Qi, hiding behind the sofa in the distance, withdrew the mist. After confirming that the armor was no longer moving, he walked towards the corpse of the ghost. Taking the iron sword from his armor, he made a big hole in the chest of the ghost and began to explore against the smell of blood. After fumbling for a while, a blood-red fragment was taken out from the corpse of the ghost. This fragment must have been more than twice the size of the one he originally obtained. When 2 fragments came into contact, threads of blood connected the 2 fragments together. Ding, new progress achieved. Fragment collection progress 2/4. After putting the fragments together into the storage room, Yan Qi turned his gaze to the twisted face of the ghost. There is a blood-red crystal on the head of this ghost. I pried the crystal off with a sword and then put the corpse of this ghost into the storage room. The core of eerie flesh and blood creatures, details. It contains most of the abilities of a certain organism. Yan Qi casually placed the sword into the storage room. I searched in the room where the ghost was originally located for a while and found a medicine box. After slight disinfection and bandaging, Yan Qi poured another bottle of recovery medicine. He doesn't want his wound to get infected in such a haunted place. After washing the crystals in the pool, they were directly thrown into the mouth. Eating eerie flesh and blood creature cores. Gain 1.5 strength and 150 ghost energy. The taste of the core is different from that of the previous flesh and blood ball ghost. Instead of bursting, the core is actually crispy and has a taste similar to that of an apple. But the taste is similar to the sweetness of watermelon. Energy flowed through Yan Qi's body, allowing his previously injured body to recover slightly. After casually collecting bowls, pots, and a few bottles of water from the room, he took the elevator downstairs. I looked at my pocket watch in the elevator and found that food was almost ready. I waited downstairs. Next, Yan Qi does not intend to look for the other 2 fragments. He is currently seriously injured and needs to recuperate for a period of time. After having lunch, I entertained the guests in the afternoon just like yesterday. Nothing happened all afternoon. It's almost 7.30 in an instant. After receiving praise and receiving salary from yesterday's Grey Wolf employees, they began to engage in free activities. Originally, Yen Qi was a bit worried that the Grey Wolf would ask him how the claw marks on his suit were caused, but it didn't ask, and after taking a glance, it didn't say anything. Yen Qi returned to the room and closed the door, sitting on the bed. Yen Qi opened the property panel and looked at it. Name: Yen Qi. Race: human. Level: E-Ghost Qi. 521 strength. 14.5 speed. 12 spirit. 13.5 intelligence. 13 ability. White mist, gourmet, fireball. Looking at his own panel now, Yen Qi is quite satisfied. Slightly controlling his ghostly aura, he activated the fireball skill. Mars began to coalesce in Yen Qi's hand. In no time, a palm-sized fireball appeared in Yen Qi's hand. I didn't feel burned, but rather a bit warm. This is the fireball created by Yen Qi after controlling the ghost power, and he did not do his best. He is quite satisfied with the size. This size is enough. After speaking, Yen Qi took out the body of the previous purple-black round ball ghost. After cutting off the tentacles with a sword, they were placed in a smooth pot, poured in a bottle of water, and lit the wood found outside with a fireball before being placed on top. The fire is surrounded by stones, so there is no fear of setting the house on fire. Perhaps due to being a foodie or being injured, Yen Qi felt his appetite increasing. The food in the cafeteria at night couldn't satisfy him at all. While cooking tentacles, Yen Qi was also pondering a question. I have already searched the entire hotel, except for every room. But apart from the waitress I met yesterday, I haven't seen humans again. If there were only 2 people in the entire dungeon, he wouldn't believe it. There are only 2 possibilities now, one is that they hid, and the other is that they were all eaten by ghosts on the first day. Compared to the 2 situations, Yen Qi believes that the first one is more likely, and under the protection of this instance rule, humans cannot die in such a large number so quickly. Gudu gudu, the sound of boiling water appeared abrupt in the room, as the tentacles had changed from purple-black to red. It is obvious that it is ripe. After extinguishing the fire with water and letting it cool for a while, I grabbed my tentacles. Without the big mouth of the rabbit mask, Yen Qi can finally enjoy food one by one. The taste of tentacles is similar to that of octopus, with a resilient and naturally sweet taste. Yen Qi just wanted to lament that there was no sauce to match. Eating enthusiasm's tentacles and tentacles, gain 0.2 spirit, 15 ghost Qi. Eating enthusiast's tentacles and tentacles, gain speed of 0.1 and 15 ghost Qi. After Yen Qi bit the flesh of his tentacles for the 4th time, the system did not send any prompts. Yen Qi also understood the hidden mechanism of foodies. That's the first 3 times a creature will start eating. After finishing this meal, I checked and it was already 8:30 p.m. I lay in bed waiting in my heart. The hour and minute hands on the pocket watch point towards 9 o'clock at the same time. Yen Qi heard a knock on the door in the distance. Just like yesterday, with the sound of crawling and knocking on the door, we began to inquire one by one. But this time it seems to have arrived earlier. Seeing this statement also confirms that this is the executor of this rule. Lying in bed without paying attention to the outside noise, he slowly fell asleep. Chapter 8. Third Fragment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just like yesterday, Yen Qi slowly got up from the bed. He looked at his pocket watch and found that it was already 8 o'clock. I touched the wound wrapped in a bandage on my chest, and when I untied the bandage, it turned out to be scarred. Picking up the tattered suit on the table. Decided to change into a new outfit. After going out wearing a rabbit mask, he found that all the plants on the roadside had turned yellow now. It looks like it's about to wither. Time has changed again. Thinking about coming to the cafeteria and observing the surrounding environment, I saw that the originally luxurious food was now somewhat dilapidated in the hall. The cracks on the wall grew larger and even covered the wall, and the lights flickered and looked a bit eerie. After finishing breakfast, when he brought the guests into the hotel, he found that there had also been changes in the hotel. The originally clean and tidy carpet now has a layer of dust attached, and there is also a lot of dust on the lights, which looks like it hasn't been cleaned in a long time. There are also tiny cracks in the corners of the wall. After greeting 3 batches of guests every day, because these 3 batches of guests are indeed busy and it's almost time to eat. After getting a new suit and putting it on in the employee lounge of Building A, he went downstairs to eat. After leaving the cafeteria, Yan-Chi walked back into Building B of the hotel. The fragments were taken out, and a breath pointed straight towards the upstairs. In the elevator, like yesterday, he observed the changes and movements of his breath. Finally, on the 7th floor, the atmosphere changed to a horizontal direction. As soon as Yan-Chi walked out of the elevator door, he felt a chill that made his goosebumps rise. The entire 7th floor is filled with smoke like gas. Walking slowly in the passage, this floor made Yan-Chi feel an indescribable strangeness. The doors on the 7th floor are all open, but there is only a small crack that is not very obvious, and the light is flashing strangely. The white lights flickered in the mist, reminding Yan-Chi of scenes from horror movies. Turning a corner, Yan-Chi looked behind him and found that the road was already blocked by fog. Mist, it's getting thicker. After walking back for a while, he discovered something terrifying. Is the way back actually not there? The road that was supposed to be walked on was constantly extending, and I should have seen the elevator, but now only an endless corridor remains. Is this the power of ghosts? The room stretched endlessly, and the surroundings were too quiet, as if isolated from the outside world. After walking for a while and confirming that he couldn't leave, Yan-Chi sat on the ground to rest. In his lounge, a strange crawling sound came from behind. Often the unknown is what makes people feel fearful. Looking at the vast mist behind him, it obscured his vision and made him wonder what it was. He tried his best not to make any noise and walked into a nearby room. I left a small gap to observe the situation outside. The crawling sound grew closer, and first a pale and withered arm appeared before his eyes. Then came a deep female voice, similar to a dying old lady. I know you're here. I know you're here. The voice suddenly became sharp, and the door across from Yan-Chi was pulled open by it. At this moment, Yan-Chi also fully saw the appearance of this ghost. Her limbs were pale and withered, her seaweed-like hair was hanging loose, and there were some maggots wriggling on top. Her twisted face had a pair of hollow eyes, and she was wearing tattered clothes. At this moment, she was crawling on the ground, dragging her lower body with her 2 front limbs. No, isn't it here? Just as the ghost was about to leave, the Eye of Insight activated. A strange spirit of resentment race. Grievant spirit level. E-Ghost Chi. 200 ability. Low-level illusion technique. Create low-level illusion to control enemies, making it difficult for them to distinguish between reality and illusion. Cause and effect rule. Having its own fixed rules, breaking the rules, causing a flash sale of the same level or below. If the object evades its own rules, it will receive strong backlash. Dark whispers. Use strange sounds to make the subject's thoughts flow according to your wishes. Note: if you can break its rules, it is vulnerable to a single blow. Seeing the introduction of the causal rule skill, Yan-Chi's forehead couldn't help but shed a cold sweat. He is not afraid of ghosts that rely on physical strength to confront him head-on, but rather of ghosts with unknown laws. Just as I finished reading the introduction of the resentful spirit, 2 options suddenly appeared. Option 1. Kill the resentful spirit, reward. Calming bracelet level. See bonus. Spirit plus 2 details. After the active triggering of tranquility, the mental attack received by the wearer is released, and the cooldown after use is 24 hours. Option 2. Begging the complaining spirit not to kill me. Reward. Title of Born to Death, to live towards death, details. You have proven your strange habit of obtaining a random attribute point every time you are on the brink of death. After looking at the 2 options and choosing one, I could not help but complain in my heart. This second option is really about living to death, right? Isn't it? There. The resentful spirit saw nothing in the door and lowered its head as it crawled towards the mist ahead. Listening to the crawling sound gradually fading away. After slightly opening the door, he walked in the opposite direction of the resentful spirit. What Chi doesn't know is that the resentment spirit race can float. As he walked around a corner, he felt a slight chill behind him. Without hesitation, Yan Qi ran directly into the room next to him. But the goddess of luck did not favor him, and the vengeful spirit paused at the corner. It lowered its head to smell on the ground, and Yan Qi clearly saw the corner of its mouth rising and saying, "I found you." Then his dry palm pulled towards the door handle of his room. Just as the door opened, a fireball with a big head swung towards it. But when the fireball touched the body of the vengeful spirit, it actually went straight through. The fireball also disappeared into the mist, and seeing this, Qi also thought to himself, "Is it because it's in an illusion?" But looking at the resentful spirit in front of him, although the environment was cold, Yan Qi's heart became even colder. Hee. I found you. I'll eat you right away. After the ghost finished speaking, his body gradually became illusory and disappeared before Yan Qi's eyes. Yan Qi walked out of the room with some confusion and pondered in the corridor. Does it say it can eat me right away because it also has to follow certain rules if it wants to eat people? After thinking for a while, he seemed to know something, but he still couldn't determine the key rules. After walking for a while, the crawling sound reappeared. Yan Qi was very certain that he didn't make any sound this time, but the ghost still accurately found him. Twice. Hee. After the complaining spirit finished speaking, it disappeared in an illusory way. After hearing the words of the resentful spirit, Yan Qi confirmed his own thoughts. Will it be instantly killed if it detects a certain number of times? If so, how many times will it be killed? Similar to the second fragment, it is impossible for ordinary people to pass without a prompt, so there will definitely be clues. Thinking about walking outside, Yan Qi began to observe his surroundings more carefully. An open door caught his attention. After entering the door, a pool of blood caught his attention. There is a skull next to the bloodstain, and its hand cookware seems to be writing something on the ground. He looked at 2 words written in blood. 2 and 5. Looking at the 2 words in front of me, I had some thoughts. I have been found twice, so the first 2 words definitely don't mean the number of times I have been found, so the estimated number of times I can be found is the last 5. Yan Qi admitted that he had a gambling element, but now he can only gamble on this kind of ghost with its own rules, which is really strange. Just as he walked out of the room, the complaining spirit didn't crawl to find him. It floated without making any sound, and Yan Qi went out directly to stick with it. Maggots are wriggling, with hollow eyes and twisted faces. This directly stimulated Yan Qi enough. Sister, you should wash your hair now. There are too many little pets. Ha. You're done. After the resentful spirit said these words, it disappeared again. There are only 2 chances left. Yan Qi began to feel a bit flustered as he thought about it. What did I become in Chapter 9? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After learning that he only had 2 opportunities left, Yan Qi couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. He kept thinking about the meaning of the word 2 in his mind. But even if his back has been soaked with sweat, there is still no clue. The crawling sound of the resentful spirit came again, and Yan Qi did not hide this time, but ran away. Upon hearing Yan Qi's running sound, the resentful spirit chased after him. With my advantage in speed attribute points, I should still be able to temporarily get rid of it. But his stamina was ultimately limited, and after running for an unknown amount of time, Yan Qi couldn't hold on anymore. At this moment, an open door once again caught his eye. After entering the room, I found the skeletons of 2 people on the ground, whose movements seemed to be hugging during their lifetime. When he saw this scene, Yan Qi couldn't help but feel a chill behind his back, but he knew there must be information hidden inside. Suddenly, he heard the voice of a resentful spirit. Obviously, this inquiry is different from before. It opened up a dark whisper that made Yan Qi want to subconsciously answer. Yan Qi, who was running in the hallway, was constantly pondering the relationship between 2 and the scene in the room when an idea flashed through his mind. Does it mean that 2 people should come here together? If the ghost's rule finds a person 5 times, it can kill her, but what if it's 2 people? 10 times will exceed its rule limit. It's possible to think of his own idea, but if that's the case, how can he find a second person in the current situation? Isn't this deceiving people? Just as Yan Qi was thinking this, his stamina also ran out. And the spirit of resentment also caught up. The resentful spirit saw Yan Qi sitting on the ground, and his smile became even more twisted as he said, "You don't have a chance." Then it disappeared. Yan Qi made an internationally recognized gesture to the complaining spirit and lay on the ground. "It's just me, I gave up on putting it on." Lying on the ground, shattered Yan Qi seemed to suddenly think of something and quickly hid in the nearest room. Then he took out the unknown medicinal soup from the storage room. Looking at the green and bubbly soup in the bowl, Yan Qi was wondering whether to drink it or not. As the complaining spirit crawled closer, Yan Qi knew that if he didn't drink, he would only have a dead end. Done. After speaking, Qi took a sip of the medicinal soup and swallowed it. The medicinal soup has no other taste besides bitterness. The vengeful spirits outside heard Yan Qi's voice and quickly crawled in. At this moment, Qi is closing his eyes and hoping to be lucky not to become anything strange. The sound of the resentful spirit twisting the door handle was accompanied by lewd laughter. He only felt that the body of the medicine soup had become very hot and his head had become drowsy, shouting at the complaining spirit. "What are you barking at in the dog?" Just Yan Qi's voice became a bit sharp, not knowing if it was his illusion. The feeling slowly dissipated. When he opened his eyes, it was the twisted face of the resentful spirit. At this moment, the resentful spirit saw Yan Qi and crawled back a few steps, roaring angrily. "How? How could this be? Why aren't you him?" Accompanied by the roar of the vengeful spirit, the illusion began to shatter. After a moment of dizziness, when Yan Qi opened his eyes again, the scene in front of him had already changed. I saw all the fog around disappear, and the hotel return to normal. The elevator also appeared behind him, and at this moment, the spirit of resentment was crawling on the ground and shrinking into a ball, constantly convulsing. In turn Yan Qi quickly went up to repair the knife, only then did he realize why this outfit was so big. But at this moment, he couldn't handle so much anymore. He dragged his clothes and came to the resentful spirit, where a ball of fire condensed in his hand. Then he threw the fireball at the resentful spirit, and it solidly hit the resentful spirit. The flames directly burned its clothes. The resentful spirit let out a mournful scream, stirring even more violently. "Congratulations on completing the task and receiving the reward, Kongming bracelet. With the sound of completing the task, a bracelet resembling a jade bracelet appeared in Yan Qi's hand. At this point, Yan Qi noticed another detail, which was that his current arm was unusually smooth, and the joints of his palm were clearly defined. For some reason, he always had a bad premonition, but he was still prepared to deal with the body of the resentful spirit first. After wearing the calming bracelet on her slender arm, she suddenly felt that the dizziness of breaking the illusion had completely disappeared. The resentful spirit was burned into a pile of powder by the flames. After searching through the powder for a while, a piece of blood-red fragments and a white ball were taken out. The fragment emitted blood and merged with the fragments that Yen Qi already had. Ding, new progress achieved, current fragment collection progress is 3/4. Yen Qi put the ball and fragments into the storage room. Dragging his clothes, he arrived at a room with an open door. After closing the door, I walked up to an isometric mirror. He looked at his slender and smooth arms and was stunned. No, not really. After trying to take off the rabbit mask, he was completely stunned. After the rabbit mask was taken off, the long hair flowed down, and the dark black hair extended all the way to the shoulders. In front of the mirror was a girl's appearance. The girl's eyebrows were curved like crescent moon, and her watery eyes matched her bewildered expression. The fair skin exudes a hint of redness, slowly rippling into a pair of shallow dimples. The slender figure of the girl, about 165 meters tall, completely satisfies Yen Qi's all fantasies about girls except for a flat chest. At this moment, the girl was wearing a seemingly spacious suit, with her collarbone faintly visible. The suit seemed to fall off whenever the girl moved, revealing her snow-white skin underneath. At this moment, the girl in the mirror groggily touched her face and then touched her throat. Finally, as if in a final struggle, touch down with your hand. No. I'm gone. My second brother's gone. The girl's crisp voice made him have to believe it. Nima, I've really become a woman. Yen Qi knocked on his head to wake himself up, but this is reality that nothing can change. On the contrary, the girl tapping her head in the mirror appeared even cuter. After confirming that this was oneself, I began to cherish my second brother. Her second brother has never experienced a real battle, but now he's gone. After taking a long time to accept the fact that she had become a girl, she slowly got up and prepared to change clothes. After all, wearing these clothes also made her feel uncomfortable. After rummaging through the room for a while, I found some indescribable clothing in the wardrobe. After all, it's a hotel. After not finding suitable clothes, Yen Qi planned to borrow the bathroom to take a shower. It's not that Yen Qi wants to do something to his body, he just wants to wash off the sweat from his body. Although he has become his ideal type, no one really wants to do something to his body, right? After taking a shower, Yen Qi walked out with a flushed face, wiped off the water stains, and quickly put on a suit. Too exciting. Although she deliberately avoided private parts, it still made her feel like something was about to spray out of her nose. I can only wear a rabbit mask and go to the employee lounge to see if there are any clothes left. After searching in the employee lounge for a while, I actually found several sets of small suits. I don't know why putting on this clothes directly made her feel extremely uncomfortable, and there was no other feeling except for it. Perhaps it's because it's really peaceful and Yen Qi feels no different from when he was a boy. Looking in front of the mirror, wearing a mask makes it impossible to tell gender, and the mask helps her distort her voice, making it even more indistinguishable. Is this just a 1.6 meter perspective? The sudden reduction of so many perspectives really made Yen Qi unable to bear it, feeling that everything in front of him had become generally larger. Chapter 10. Fox appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I took out my pocket watch and confirmed the time, only to find that it was already 8 o'clock. Have you unconsciously stayed with that ghost in the illusion for so long? After going downstairs, I took out the ball from the storage room. The core of resentment spirit, details. Contains most of the energy of an E.level vengeful spirit. After wiping the beads on the clothes, they were directly thrown into the mouth. The taste of the beads is a bit salty and a bit fishy at the entrance, but fortunately, the beads are broken and a slight sweet liquid flows out, similar to the taste of mint candy. To be honest, he really can't accept this taste. Successfully ate the E.level grievance core, gained spirit +1, gained ghost chi +100. Obtained the skill Dark Whisper. Dark Whispers, level D. Details. Use strange sounds to make the subject's thoughts flow according to your wishes. Note. Perhaps it has some other uses. I am happy to see that I have acquired skills, but I am a bit disappointed to see that it is not the other two skills. Forget it, at least it's better than nothing. Name. Yen Chi race. Human level. E Ghost Chi. 640 strength. 14.7 speed. 12.2 spirit. 14.5 plus 2 intelligence. 13.5 ability. White Mist, Fireball, Dark Whisper, Gourmet. After looking at my own property panel, I walked towards the place where I used to gather. The Grey Wolf, like yesterday, took a break after receiving his salary. The Grey Wolf did not notice any changes in himself, probably due to the rules of this dungeon. Returning to the room, just like yesterday, he used up his ghost energy and activated the fireball to light the campfire. Take out the chopsticks that run smoothly in the cafeteria. Then the flesh and blood were divided and the thigh area was taken out. After being skewered with chopsticks and placed on the campfire, the thighs of flesh and blood creatures are mostly lean, with a small portion being fat. But it does not affect the sound of oil splashing. After sprinkling a little salt, the meat was roasted on the flames, and Yen Chi took off the rabbit mask. Rubbing one's own hair, a sense of discomfort struck. It seems familiar. After picking up a skewer and taking a bite, there was a gushing of meat juice, and the aroma of fat bloomed in the mouth. Eating flesh and blood creatures' thigh meat gains. 0.2 strength, 20 ghost energy. Eating flesh and blood creatures' thigh meat gains. 0.2 strength and 15 ghost chi. This meal satisfied Yen Chi very much, except for the absence of cumin powder, everything was fine. After finishing this meal, Yen Chi decided to rest, and tomorrow she will have to go search for the last piece of debris. And his spirit was also invaded in the illusion. But unlike before, this time she slept wearing clothes. This time, Yen Chi was not awakened by the sound of a collision outside the door, but rather by sleeping naturally. Wearing a rabbit mask and sticking his ears to the door, he suddenly stopped hearing the sound of impact. I looked at the time and it was only 6 o'clock. As time passed, the sound of things outside also stopped colliding but didn't seem to leave. What the hell is blocking the door? Until Yen Chi heard the sound of the door opening on the other side of his residence. It doesn't seem like anything happened as he slightly opened the door a crack. A crimson eye with blood was looking at her. Give me this whole thing early in the morning. Yen Chi roared in his heart. But the action did not change and she opened the door directly because the activation of the insight eye made her know what it was. Blood Festival Hotel, Fox, Employees Level. E-Race. Stitch Monster Ghost Chi. 210 details. You can easily grasp it. When the fox saw her rabbit mask, it left as if it had lost interest. She only then saw the full picture of the ghost, which had a serious hunchback and legs that were slightly bent. When walking, it looked strange and somewhat comical. Wearing a torn suit with a fox mask wrapped around his head and blood flowing out of his eyes. When Yen Chi walked out of the room, the view of the hotel completely changed. I saw countless cracks on the walls of the once luxurious hotel, as if it was about to collapse at a touch. The plants on the roadside have completely withered, and the lights in the cafeteria have completely disappeared. The tables and chairs have been overturned and damaged, making them look desolate. At the entrance, guests were almost invisible and a large number of foxes appeared. Remembering what was written in the hotel employee handbook, she ignored these foxes even if they were waving their teeth and claws in front of her. After spending a whole morning entertaining 3 groups of guests, she took out fragments at the entrance of Building C and prepared to search for the last piece. Just as she took out the fragments, all the foxes around her turned their heads to look at her. A deep and hoarse voice emanated from beneath the fox's mask. "Grab! Grab it!" Then all the foxes around rushed towards her. Seeing this, Chi frowned under his mask and a sword appeared in his hand. With one sword, the head of a nearby fox was chopped off. The fox twitched on the ground and died completely. At this moment, the distant scene made Yan Chi's pupils shrink. I saw foxes rushing towards her from all directions like a tide of corpses. At this moment, two options pop up. Option 1. Unable to hit anything dirty, evade the pursuit of the fox, reward. Escaper title, Evaders, details. You have demonstrated your ability to escape. After wearing it, the presence of surrounding creatures towards you decreases by 25%. Option 2. Men should fight and kill all fox employees. Reward. Level directly increased to level C. Yan Chi looked at the group of ghosts that had attacked, and roughly estimated that there were over 500 of them. This ghost can even drown me with a single spit, it's impossible to laugh to death. After selecting the first option, run towards building D. She originally intended to take the elevator, but as soon as the elevator door opened, 7 fox employees pounced on her. Yan Chi could only run into the emergency passage and felt a headache as he recalled the rules. She almost walked through the entire hotel and didn't find the presence of the 11th floor. As stated in the rules, there is no 11th floor at all, but how could it be that you have to go to the 11th floor to avoid it? When she climbed up the stairs to the 10th floor, the foxes below were almost catching up. Watching the words Mark 12 on the upper floor, Yan Chi clenched his sword in his hand. Just as the fox ahead was about to engage in a head-on confrontation with her, she only felt her back being pulled by something. Then came a huge suction from behind. Yan Chi quickly turned her head to look, but only saw the wall rushing towards her side, making her unable to help but take a cold breath. But to her surprise, she walked straight through the wall as easily as through a layer of water. When Yan Chi opened his eyes again, he found that the blood-colored light around him had also disappeared. Looking up, she found a semi-transparent blood-red portal in front of her. Through the portals, she could even see more than a dozen foxes scratching the wall across from her. But the wall seemed to be losing its grip, and the eye-catching scratches were seen through the portal by her. Seeing this, Chi also knew he couldn't stay here anymore, so he ran towards the back. There are many differences between the space here and the scenery outside. It's like pipes crisscrossing each other, with only a few oil lamps above. When Yan Chi arrived at a corner, she looked down at the light emanating from under her feet. I saw a railing under my feet, and below it were groups of humans. They have around 20 people who use their insight to see that the majority are ordinary people. But there was a figure that caught Yan Chi's attention. That person is not an ordinary person. Her level has reached E and the pointer emanating from the fragments in her hand is pointing straight at the man.